Servus Männer, it's Red Bull Germany again. It's Monday, so I am on my usual Waldgang before the Spaziergang. I'm in the forest before I go for a walk on Monday afternoon. And what I want to talk about today is the growing anti-Russian sentiment that can be seen, perceived in Germany, maybe also in the rest of Europe right now, or the EU, I should rather say. And that is becoming more and more obvious every day. And what I mean by that is not just that Germany has picked a side, when we decided to support Ukraine with weapons and other help. Putin decided to invade, and Ukraine, not being a EU member or a NATO country, well, it's not really straightforward that Germany, especially with our interests being not at all aligned with that, choosing this particular path to declare Russia our enemy now. But there are voices in the mainstream media now, very prominent voices, I would say, that are calling now for measures, not against representatives of the Russian state or Russia or you know all these sanctions like the SWIFT thing and the oil and the pipeline and all that stuff. No, they're calling for sanctions against Russian people, civilians, people who live in Europe, and they are asked now to kind of denounce Putin and Russia, and only then can they keep their jobs. Very prominent case, for example, I think a conductor of an orchestra in Munich lost his job, was fired basically for not denouncing Putin. I don't think he spoke out in favor of Putin, he just refused to speak out against him. So they're really asked to make a public statement against their home country, and only then can they keep their jobs. Interesting. And another guy, Mr. Reichelt, I think his name is, he works for the Springer Corporation, and he asked, is it time now, and very, very clever, he's asking a question, he didn't propose it, no, he's just asking questions, right? Well, I do the same, so he asked basically, is it time now to expel Russians from Germany or from the EU? So send them home to Russia because they're the enemy now. That's what this guy wrote. And I don't hear any backlash. I don't see these people getting in hot water over posts or tweets or articles like that. It's, people seem to be okay with that, at least judging from the reactions to it. I don't see any outrage yet. So, and that is something I should say that Japanese people and German people, we know about that. Our ancestors, or our brothers and sisters who lived in the United States, for example, for Germans in World War I and for Japanese also, especially during World War II, that kind of treatment was pretty much normal in the United States. We were treated as the enemy, and there were even camps for Japanese people and people with German ancestry during World War I. I don't know. I should do some research on that, to be honest. But I think it was widely discouraged to use German still, and some people went as far as not teaching German to their children, and the grandchildren didn't even know that the grandparents spoke German actually when they were among themselves. But as soon as the grandchildren came to the house, then they stopped speaking German and only spoke English. So that was the treatment our people got way back then, and now we want to do the same to the Russians. Now, of course, I want to not focus on that, but I also want to call out some double standards and hypocrisy here, shall we? So we're talking about normal Russian citizens here, not people who are speaking out publicly in favor of Vladimir Putin or something. Just normal Russian guys who want to stay under the radar and do their thing. And they should be expelled or pressured or forced to make these statements against their home country. Well, let's look at how we treated Turks in Germany, for example. Maybe you know that Turkey, they're still occupying a part of Cyprus, right? It's an island, and they invaded it, I think, in the 70s, and they haven't left since. Yeah, and nothing. Yeah, and then Mr. Erdogan, yeah, he's a warlord. Yeah, he's doing terrible things in the east of his country, in Syria, etc. And there are many Turks, of course, living in Germany, and they can even speak out in favor of him. They can go to a big sports arena and pledge their loyalty to their great leader. Nothing happens. None of them lost their jobs. None of them was treated any differently. And it goes even further. There are a lot of people from exotic countries in Germany. Some of them where horrible things happened, and some of these people were involved in these things. I think you know exactly what I mean. In the end, they even founded their own state. Yeah, and yeah, these people they were brought home to Germany. Yeah, and they got very nice treatment and no problems, no problems. Yeah, but Russians who pay their taxes, who live here peacefully, who were never involved in any war or any questionable activities per se, yeah, they are supposed to get this treatment now. That is completely insane, I think. And it is funny to see how they could switch so fast from complaining against people critical of government health measures directly to Russians. It was a smooth transition, yeah, and the programming is really good. It's efficient programming, and they're not asking any questions. The people, that is, yeah, they were trained to see enemies, and it became normal to treat these enemies differently, and the old rules of our constitution, our legal system, they don't apply anymore. Because now we live in new times, you know, the world is a different world now. Yeah? And this is a scary thing. People have been programmed to be shown a designated enemy and then to be okay with isolating them, ostracizing them, and treating them horribly. And that's considered normal now. Even though they didn't do anything wrong, even though they're not technically the enemy, because if you're just like citizen of another country, but you haven't really done anything here, and they're acting as if we're at war already. This is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, and even during war, I was always of the opinion that incarcerating Japanese Americans during World War II. And I think it wasn't even Japanese citizens. They were even US citizens. They were just of Japanese heritage. That makes it even worse. So, and by the way, we have a lot of German citizens who have Russian ancestry here. And that is not what this guy wrote about. And this is not what I have not heard anybody say anything about them yet. But I don't really know if the public really makes a big distinction here. If they refer to Russian passport holders or people of Russian ancestry, that's really the interesting question. What would these these rabid goons, what would they say about Russian Germans? So people whose ancestors come from, or let's say most of them, their ancestors were German. They were sent to Russia, and to promote agriculture there, etc. And now they came back after they were treated horribly then in Russia, or in the Soviet Union rather, and those are these people, right? And yet they're basically Germans, but their family has a Russian episode for a couple of generations, let's say, yeah. And if they want to give these people this treatment now, that would be just insane, because they're Germans whose family just lived for a while in Russia, basically, yeah, like an odyssey in the East, and they came back now. Yeah. So, well, I'm continuing to walk a little bit around in this dense forest here, I think, and then I go for a walk. But let me know what you think about that in the comments down below. Once again, take care. Servus, Kameraden.